Maybe you manage baby boomer employees, or maybe you manage Gen Z employees, or maybe you manage both. So, how do we lead well across generations in a way where our workplace cultures thrive and our organizations succeed? Let's jump in. Hey there, welcome back to the Culture Keepers podcast. I'm Kara List, your leadership coach, and here on the podcast, we discuss topics that empower leaders just like you to cultivate a thriving and connected workplace culture. And within a workplace culture, there are going to be differences, and with differences are going to come conflicts. And when team members are arguing or they're not getting along, we can see it as an interruption, as a waste of time, as a hurdle in our day. But what if instead we saw it as an opportunity? What if we ran towards conflict instead of away from it? And leader, that is your job. So to equip you, I have a guide, 4 steps to drama-free conflict resolution. You can grab it in the show notes or go to heycarelist.com/conflict. Many podcasts or videos that are out there really focus on how to specifically lead different generational categories: Gen Z, Millennials, Baby Boomers, Gen X. And if you're looking for that kind of deep dive here, you're not going to find that in this video. And here is why. The best leaders lead individuals, not stereotypes. And sure, generational trends exist. There are statistics, there are insights we can gather from these trends. But leadership is about people, not categories. So if you're here today because you have an employee that is maybe in a different generational category than you, we're not going to look at them today as their generation. We're going to look at them as an individual and seek how to lead them well. So today I just have 5 easy breezy ways we can look at leading across generations well. And the first one is to focus on shared values and not the differences. So it is super easy to get fixated on those gaps, on those generational divides. But friend, you know me, I'm a value-based leader. And I'm always going to argue that your leadership should be rooted in core values. Not only your core values, but the core values of your organization. And core values resonate across all generations: integrity, respect, honesty, kindness. This is something we can all agree on. These are things that can motivate all of us. So let's just say you're focusing on excellence being a core value. Well, you could highlight that your baby boomer employee brings so much experience, and that valuable experience in your industry produces high quality excellence for your organization. And you could also highlight that your millennial brings so much innovation, and that innovation gives you a competitive, excellent edge in your market. It doesn't matter what generation you fall into. When you see your core values reflected, like honestly, genuinely, authentically in your organization, in the work you do, and you see that celebrated, you feel connected. So in order for this to work, I have to ask you, are your company values clear? Do you talk about them? Are they just something that you wrote down once that lives in a dusty old filing cabinet somewhere? Do your actions align with them? Do the choices you make as an organization say, not only do we value this, but we prove it in the way we act? So let's make sure we have clear values, and then we use those values as a way to celebrate the things we have in common, the things we can all agree to. Okay, your second tip to lead well across generations is to be picky about your non-negotiables. So if you're going to have workplace expectations, which is normal, right? We need to know how we are expected to work here. Then you need to make sure those expectations, those non-negotiables, are need to haves, not nice to haves. So if you're a millennial and you're a leader, then you may have a tendency to get excited about new software that comes out, right? Something that helps you communicate better, something that does data tracking better or helps you in productivity. And you might be tempted as a leader to jump on those software opportunities to better your organization. But switching so much and learning new software could be something, if that's what you're saying, this is how we're going to function. We're going to do this. We're all going to do it. It's a non negotiable. That can be hard for maybe our baby boomer friends. And if you're a baby boomer leader, you might have strong convictions or preferences about what work looks like, the hours you work in a day, or remote work versus in person work. And that might be hard for maybe a Gen Z employee who gets their work done best in a certain way. So, is this a choose your own adventure? Do we cater to everyone? Do we say, well, this is how this person works, so they can do that, or this is how this person works, so they can do that, and kind of make this mix and match buffet style of leadership? No, of course not. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to carefully determine those expectations that are essential, that are non negotiables, based on what we think will bring our organization the most success and help our workplace culture to thrive the most, not the things that are based on our preferences or even the preference of the majority. And then when we make those decisions, when we cast vision for those expectations, we share the benefits, what this thing is going to do for our organization. We don't share the pain points of the change. We don't need to say, now I know we've been using email forever and this is the way we've been used to, and we don't really want to change to something like Slack. No, we don't need to say it like that. We can say Slack is going to streamline our communication. It's going to help solve the problem we've been having of messages getting lost, and it's going to help us to be able to collaborate better, even if some people are working from home or some people are working in the office and some people have different hours. This is going to help us reach our mission, serve us best in this season. So you sell the benefits. And if you would like to know a little bit more about how you can introduce change and roll that out in a way where your team won't start to riot, go ahead and check out this other video. Okay, your third way is be flexible with accountability. So once those non-negotiables are set, there can be flexibility for people to get that work done the way that works best for them. And then your job is just to hold them accountable to the expectations. And again, this is where we really focus on the individual. We don't have to make these like mass stereotypes where we're going to say, well, this group of people is going to want to do it like this, and this people are going to want to do it like this. Let there be flexibility for everyone to choose their own way within the parameters you've provided. Flexibility, following those non-negotiable expectations with accountability on your end. And obviously, there's going to be times where we need to collaborate. And when we collaborate, we're going to have to defer at times to other people's preferences. And isn't that the beauty of it? Diverse perspectives strengthen our organizations. We know that. And learning to work alongside with someone on a project who works a little differently, that comes at it from a different angle, could also strengthen the way you do your work. There is always something we can learn from each other. So even though that collaboration might require you to defer or your employees to defer to each other's preferences, that is good. This fourth way to lead well across generations is so important. Friend, please hear this. Avoid assumptions about their judgment of you. When we're managing different generations than us, it is very easy for our insecurity to kick in, for our fear of what they think of us to kick in. If you're younger, you might think that that older employee doesn't think that you're qualified to lead because you lack a certain amount of experience or you're too young to be in a position of authority. And maybe if you're an older leader, you fear that your younger employees don't think you're relevant anymore or don't think you're willing to learn new things. And we can get caught in a vicious cycle of these thoughts, just swirling around in our head. And those thoughts really impact the way we act, the way we treat others, the way we hear others, really the way we lead. So unless they have said it outright to you, you cannot assume that that's what they think. And this is a really good moment to separate fact and feeling. Is this a fact or is this something I feel? And as we know, feelings are valid, but they don't always reflect reality. And ultimately, friend, leading well means giving people the benefit of the doubt. And so let's just assume that they don't think that. And just assuming that they don't think that, thinking the best of them, that they think the best of you, will save us a lot of trouble. The fifth way you can lead well across generations is to avoid assumptions based on stereotypes. Do you want to know how someone communicates best, feels valued, works at their best? Do you want to know how they do that? Well, then you have to ask. Assumptions based on stereotypes can be misleading and can really derail our leadership. So great leaders just lean in with curiosity, right? We ask questions, good, curious questions. And that curiosity means we are prepared to be surprised. Curiosity isn't just asking the question. Curiosity is asking a question, not knowing what the answer is going to be, not assuming what they're going to say, being willing to be surprised. And when you ask these questions, your employees are going to feel heard. They're going to feel valued by you. And those generational gaps between you and that employee will start to shrink. And friend, there is no perfect formula to this, but ultimately, we all want the same thing. We want to feel needed. We want to feel valued. We want to feel like we are part of a community that is doing good work. And while that may look different for each person, you as a leader can foster a workplace culture where that kind of connection, where that kind of purpose can thrive across all generations. And doesn't that just paint such a beautiful picture? It doesn't mean it's easy. But friend, it is possible. So if you're struggling to lead someone that is maybe in a different generation than you, or you're struggling to lead across generational gaps between your employees, I get it. That's really tough. So focus on leading individuals, not age categories. I would love to know your thoughts. I would love to hear if you took something valuable from this, if you have more questions, more challenges, if you have thoughts, success stories that I did not include in this short podcast, please drop all those in the comments for me and for others to see. So go ahead and get to work, keep doing the hard things, and know that I am cheering you on. And I'll talk to you next time.